I'm probably going to be mentioning the obvious or stating the obvious, but coaching in South Africa and coaching in cricket and coaching in sport is such an integral role, an integral part of success of teams, and we all know that. And we want to discuss it a little bit more in depth. But just knowing those facts doesn't really tell the true picture because there's a lot involved when it comes to coaching, but particularly when it comes to South African cricket. So we decided to dedicate our next issue of the magazine to coaching in South Africa, and that will be launched tomorrow in the late afternoon in South African Standard Time. So myself and Aditya today will be talking about coaching in South Africa and what's the importance of coaching in general when it comes to cricket. Is it the same as in other sports, or do certain things vary when it comes to cricket? Those are the questions that we're going to be asking, and we would like you guys to give your opinion on what you guys think about that as well. But before we get going, I would like you guys to subscribe to the magazine so that you get the notification immediately when we upload the new issue, because it gets directly sent to your to your inbox. So there's the link on your screen, and it's also in the description. Become a subscriber today. That is our main entity. We need to grow this, guys, because the only way we can improve our YouTube shows and improve anything that we're doing going forward, you have to become a subscriber of the digital magazine. You can also get involved with the Patron as well to help us with that too. But we're going to be talking about coaching today. And we're going to go in depth with regards to what is important about it, or what is the integral parts about it, or how does it differ to other sports, and how important it is when it comes to South African cricket specifically. We'll also be answering some of your questions if they do pop up, and if they are relevant enough, we will be talking about them as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's content. Really, really excited about this one. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Mohideen. This is my co-host Aditya, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now, before we get going into today's topic, I want you guys to just be aware that we will be making a big announcement this week for a couple of changes that are going to be taking place on this YouTube channel. The way we're going to be doing our daily shows going forward, as well as the way we're going to be shooting our podcast, all of those things, there's going to be minor changes according to how YouTube has changed their algorithms. So there's going to be a little bit of changes, guys, and I'm sorry that those are going to be taking place, but we will explain to you every single thing later on this week. So stay tuned. We'll probably do a big announcement on Friday for our Q&A and explain to you how everything's going to be going forward following the following week, because we're going to start it quite soon. But yes, today we're talking about coaching because the theme of the magazine, of our digital magazine for the August edition, is going to be coaching in South Africa. Now we've got a couple of amazing interviews in there and some insights from top coaches that have worked with the Proteas, that have worked in domestic setups, that have worked in the Zanzi Super League, that have worked with school kids, multiple guys, even guys that have been influential in the club scene as well. So you're really going to get an in-depth analysis and identity of what coaching in South Africa is about. But myself and Aditya thought we'll chat about it a little bit more in depth and talk about it when it comes to cricket in South Africa, and what's the difference between coaching cricket compared to other sports. And I think particularly other sports, I will be able to weigh in a little bit about what I've seen with regards to football and cricket and rugby and cricket, whereas Aditya has other sporting codes that he can maybe also speak about and bring up. But let's start with cricket. It's so important that is cricket actually, is coaching in cricket, how important is it? That's the first question we need to discover, because there's a lot of people that believe that cricket is an individualistic team sport. So it's a team sport that's made up of individual performances. So it's a lot of private coaching and a lot of making sure that a player's technique is right and mental side of things is different and all of those type of things. So with regards to coaching and tactics, I think the coach is not maybe as involved with regards to that in cricket as it is to other sports. Maybe it's more about ideologies and mental strength that they play their roles in, but we'll be learning a lot more and I'll be learning a lot more. I don't know everything. Sorry. So I will be learning a lot more about this going forward. Aditya, what's your thoughts about it and about coaching?
Coaching is interesting, right? Because I think the ultimate conflict for a coach is to balance an individual's technique with conventional technique, whether it's with bat or with ball. And finding that balance is so important because you don't want to take away a player's natural instinct, but at the same time, you also don't want to leave a player ill equipped to deal with high quality opposition. And that to me is that debate that I'm sure every coach has in his or her head. And perhaps I think to give it context, let's look at the England Test team right now. With Rory Burns and Dom Sibley, that both have got unconventional techniques, and they're not doing particularly well right now at the international level. But at county level, perhaps they're among the leading run scorers. So it's one of those things where their technique can help them sort of score runs at a consistent rate at the domestic level, but it doesn't work so much at the international level because the demands of the international level are greater. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting debate, and it's an iterative conversation that we can have with coaches.
Yeah, when I look at cricket coaches, though, like comparing it to other sporting coaches, like for example in football, I think a coach is a lot more involved with regards to the teams, the tactics of the team, and the way formations are, and the style of football a player plays, and making sure that everybody's in the correct positions and attacking at the right points, and that they if they're playing a crossing style of football, then the wingers are crossing the ball in, and the fullbacks are crossing the ball in, and kind of when you take the person out of the team, you kind of slot a new person in there, and the system maybe stays the same, and that's what coaches try to get to. That's why they try to get two squads, so that when they make changes, the system and the style of play doesn't really change that much. Whereas in cricket, taking one person out of the team and trying to replace them is going to be very hard because every person has a different ability and style and a way of approach when it comes to cricket. It's a lot more difficult to just do a like for like replacement. Like for example, if you take Quinton de Kock out of the national team, to find someone that can score as free flowing and is left-handed and is a wicket keeper and does all of those type of things and ticks all those boxes, it's very hard to do. Whereas in football, for example, if you're missing a winger and you replace him with another winger that can still cross the ball, you can do the job. You might not do the job as well as the other person, but you can still get the same result. In cricket, I feel that in coaching needs a lot more thought process and a lot more time to decide multiple different strategies and thinking about multiple different things. On top of it, you need to make sure that that 11 is exactly right, because in other sports you have subs, whereas in cricket you don't. So you have one chance to actually make a mistake, unless it's a concussion. Now in cricket they've added that into the game, but other than that, you make one choice, and selection is so important when it comes to coaching, because I think mostly coaches are judged in cricket on the selection. If they lose a match, it's about the selection. It's not necessarily always about the way the cricket is played. It's more so you picked the wrong person. Whereas in other sporting codes, sometimes you can blame a person's tactics or the way they've approached the game in that particular match with regards to tactics on the coach. So the coach takes a lot more heat than players, I feel. Yes, ultimately the main coach will get it, but we also have a lot more personalized coaches for each position: batting, fielding, wicket keeping. There's so many different types of coaches that you can find. So It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that we can speak about when it comes to coaching, and that's why we wanted to do this issue. It's because we want to unravel all types of things. But when it comes to South Africa as well, there are going to be some challenges with coaching. Now, to produce talent in South Africa and to produce coaches or players in South Africa, you're going to have to start with the grassroots level and build your way up. And school cricket is a whole different ballgame to university cricket and to club cricket and to domestic cricket, and then into international cricket. The transitions and the jumps are so massive. Growing, like, it's very seldom that you'll find a youngster at the age of 16, like Shashi Tenduka, come on into the national scene and be amazing instantly. It's a very, very a rare thing to see that youngsters hit the ground running in world cricket at the international stage. Whereas we're starting to see it a lot more when it comes to football. Because and in rugby as well, you start to see a lot more younger players that make it. But maybe that's also because your window in rugby and in football may be a little bit smaller than cricketers. Some cricketers can play up to 40 years old almost, So you're seeing it a lot more often with science and the way things have moved on, that you see that a lot more often in cricket. But in South Africa, being a coach in South Africa, Aditya, what has been your assumption, or not assumption, but your observation on this? By being in press conferences, by hearing various different coaches talk, by hearing some of the interviews that we have done together and some that I've done by myself and the some that you have done by yourself, what sort of lessons or some similarities that you picked up amongst coaching in South Africa?
Well, one is that structure is important. It's important to have the right structure coming in from age group cricket to semi-professional cricket to franchise cricket up until that time, and then international cricket, because we're still to see how the restructure is to go. But so yeah, structure is important. The other thing is opportunity. Where South African cricket was perhaps not producing the sort of talent that we'd hope they would, is because of the lack of opportunity. 6 teams can only provide so many players to the national team. So it's more about harnessing that talent. So coaches will often talk about that. And certainly in press conferences with Mark Boucher, he has often talked about that gulf between domestic and international cricket, and the fact that players coming in from the domestic cricket weren't prepared to really jump in and succeed in international cricket right away. So
Yeah.
Those are some of my observations, and for the rest, I hope the fans can watch out tomorrow.
Yeah. Because obviously, that different coaches have different personalities and different methods according to their personalities. Ashwell Prince, from the way I've seen him operate, he's a very straightforward man, very, very passionate, and has a massive attention to detail. And I really appreciate that. And I don't know if I'm going to be overstepping a boundary here, but when I attended, I'm not going to give away your secrets, Ashwell. So I don't think that I will do that. But I attended one of his training sessions with the Cape Town Blitz, and I saw how organized it was. Whiteboard up, making sure that everybody knows which net they're going to be in, etc. So his attention to detail is remarkable. And I thought, and everybody knew what they're going to do. They come in the morning, they come to the training session, they look up on the board, they know exactly what they're going to be doing for that session. So it's thought out. He can be quite hard, yes. We've seen some sessions where he's really comes hard at the players, but coaching is all about knowing when to do it and when not to. That ability to know which players to go after and which not, which players need an arm around them and which don't. Cricket's a very mental game, and the way Ashwell grew up as well, he had a very hard life, so he's an exception to the rule in a way, because not everybody would have been the same way with regards to that. But yeah, all coaches are different, and that's the key thing. A lot of coaches are different, and we're going to be seeing that in the next issue of the magazine. So guys, please subscribe to that, click that notification bell and all of those things to get your updates. But make sure that you please do subscribe to the magazine and download it, so that you can get all the insights into that The cover will be Robin Peterson, so he's the main feature. So I'm really excited about this one. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care.